Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 6. Manduratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana chitaha anatmanastu satrudve vartetatmaiva satruva. Bandhu, friend. Atma, the mind. Atmanaha, of the living entity. Tasya, of him. Yena, by whom. Atma, the mind. Eva, certainly. Atmana, by the living entity. Jitaha, conquered. Anatmana, of one who has failed to control the mind. Two, but Satrudve, because of enmity. Varteta, remains. Atma Eva, the very mind. Satruvat, as an enemy. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Please respond. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Purport. The purpose of practicing Eightfold Yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging the human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time. One who cannot control his mind lives always with the greatest enemy, and thus his life and his mission are spoiled. The constitutional position of the living entity is to carry out the order of the superior. As long as one's mind remains as an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictations of lust, anger, avarice, illusion. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of the personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. Real yoga practice entails meeting the Paramatma within the heart and then following his dictation. For one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjanashalakhaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurubhe Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadamikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakapalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsa Sri Rupam Sahagarajatam Sahagara Raghunatham Vikantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sakanalita Sri Vishakhambikamsa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostate Tapta Gandhana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindaveshwari Rishabhanu Shude Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Gangadharviyasya Kripa Sindhudevacha Patinanam Bhavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namarom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavani Gaushtatate Sutarni Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vashani Gauravaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. So, for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. A very famous verse from the Gita. And of course, every verse is relevant. Every verse Krishna spoke is very relevant to all of us. And especially this one, because all of us have a mind, right? We all know. We can't see the mind, but we know that the mind is Every second, like even right now, you are here for the last 1 hour. You can just think about it. How many times your mind has gone somewhere else, even though you are here in the class right now. You're thinking what you're gonna do tomorrow or next week, right? Actually, according to scientists, this they of course it's an estimate. The mind at least generates about 6,200 thoughts a day. You know, that's it's relentless like an ocean. If you see the ocean, the waves are coming continuously, right? Even when you're asleep, the mind never leaves you in peace. You're getting dreams. Many of us have dreams. So the mind, what is this mind actually? So we see in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has qualifies the mind in this verse. Bhumirapavano vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankaramiti yamme binna prakritirashtadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. So these are the energies, these are called the material energies. Earth, we are covered with, you see our body, right? Mostly is earth. When you die, what happens to your body? It goes back to the earth. Or it becomes ashes. Or it becomes stool. An animal eat your body, digested as stool. So like that, our body is made up of earth, water. You can see in our body there's water. There is also fire, the heat in the stomach, right? The digestion. There is air. In Ayurvedic, we call it the Kapha Vata Pitta, right? Ether, space, mind. So the mind is not you. These are all separate. Mind, intelligence, false ego. See these 4 elements you can see. This is the gross elements. And these are the subtle elements, the mind, the intelligence, the false ego. And these 8 are actually the separated energies. So we are not even these 8 things. Many of us think we are the mind or we are the intelligence. No, this is not you. In Bhagavad Gita, there's a picture you may have seen before in the Bhagavad Gita. A chariot, there's a driver, there's a chariot, you see. The chariot is controlled by 5 horses. And these 5 horses are very wild horses. So these 5 horses are there, chariot is there, the body, the 5 horses are the senses. And then you have a passenger, and then you have a driver. So what does this mean? The 5 horses are the 5 senses. The sense of sight, the hearing senses, the nose, smell, the taste, the tongue, the sense of touch. So these 5 senses are like a wild horse going here and there. The eyes wants to see something very beautiful, wants to enjoy. The tongue wants to enjoy some taste, right? And then the buddhi, the intelligence is the driver. The intelligence is controlling the horses, and the mind represents by the reins of the chariot. You see, to control the horses, you need the reins, right? So if the intelligence is not able to control the reins, the horse will run everywhere. 5 horses will run in 5 different directions, right? So who spoke this verse? Sri Prahlad. See this verse here. This one. No, not this one. 7:9:39. So Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, the devotee of Lord Narasimha, he's speaking this. So here in this verse it says that, my dear Lord, O infallible one, my position is like that of a person who has many wives, trying to attract him in their own way. For example, the tongue is attracted to palatable dishes, the genitals to sex with an attractive woman, the senses of touch to contact with soft things, the belly, although filled, still wants to eat more, And the ear, not attempting to hear about you, is generally attracted to cinema songs. The sense of smell is attracted to yet another side. The restless eyes are attracted to the scenes of sense gratification, and the active senses are attracted elsewhere. In this way, I'm certainly embarrassed. So, Prahlad Maharaj is a pure devotee of the Lord. So, he is actually speaking, representing us. So, this is our life. Our senses are going into these things. The mind has a natural proclivity to enter into these sense objects. Naturally, it wants to enjoy, and when you're not able to control, what happens? You can lead to destruction. What's wrong? Like, okay, let my mind run wild. What's wrong with that? Without any, let's say you run wild, you drive the car, you just run wild, you'll get into accident, right? So this is the problem, where when you're not able to control the mind, the intelligence, the buddhi is not able to control that mind, and is dragged in different directions, he will fall down into this material world. Originally, we don't belong to this material world. We belong to Krishna. Jivere Swarupa Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. We belong to the spiritual world. But because we are attracted by this sense gratification, we are entrapped in this material world. And we are suffering repeated birth and death. Miseries after another misery. Like how this works, you see. Bhagavad Gita 262. Jayato Vishayan Pumsam Sangaste Supajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Krodha Vijayate. So how this happens? While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. So the senses wants to enjoy something, So the mind and senses are interconnected. They work together as a unit. So the mind will say, okay, let's try to attain our sense gratification and pleasure through this way. So once he goes in that way, he becomes attached to that. And once he's attached to that, he becomes lusty. And once lust arises, there's lust in the heart, right? And if lust cannot be satisfied, there is anger. Just like let's say, you like a girl or you like a boy, and then you are contemplating upon them, and then you propose to them, they're not interested in you, and you're so attached already, the lust is there in the heart, and you cannot give up, and you get very angry after that. And of course, if you cannot control your mind, what happens? What happens next? The next sloka. Krodhat bhavati samhoha smriti vipramaha smriti pramshad buddhinasa pranashyati. From anger, complete delusion arises. Then you get angry. You cannot attain what you want. You get very angry. Then you get deluded. Your intelligence is lost. Now intelligence is not able to control that chariot now. And then there is bewilderment of memory. Memory is lost. And when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. When intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. This is like sometimes. So this is happening in the gross level. Like some people, many like they went to the jail, committing a crime because of this process. Unable to control the senses because you're attached to it. We are also in a jail right now. They may be in a physical jail, but we are also in a jail of Maya. We may not commit a physical crime, but because our mind is not attached to Krishna, and the same thing happens to us as well. You see? So what happens then at the time of death? The mind brings you to the next body. Like how you live your life now. If you're going to let your mind and senses control your life. Do anything and in everything. At the time of death, Krishna says in the Gita, Yam yam va vismaran bhavam tadittante kalevaram tam tam evati kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. So whatever state one of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So your mind is going like that your whole life, doing anything and everything. At the time of death, you will be attached to a certain object or a thought or a person, and that makes you take a repeated birth again. This is how we are trapped in this samsara. See? So the business of Krishna consciousness is how we can overcome this mind, control of mind. It's actually a solution for the entire human society, human race. You see all the crazy things that happen in the world right now. It's caused by what? The mind. This country is seeing that country as an enemy, fighting wars, killing each other. How? It's all in the mind. Why you see somebody as an enemy? Like now, let's say now this life we are Indians. Of course, we don't see the Pakistan as enemy, but they see us as enemy. And the Pakistan guy, they see us as enemy, they meditate on the Indian so much. Next life they born in India. So who is the friend, who is the enemy? Very interesting. When Prahlad Maharaj, his father is a great demon, Hiranyakashipu, right? So his father sent him to school. But Prahlad Maharaj is the devotee, great devotee of Narayana. So after learning in school, Prahlad Maharaj comes back. And the father asks him, what have you learned, Prahlad? And then Prahlad Maharaj said, oh, my dear father, the greatest of demons, Asura Varyade Hinam. I learned that one should give up these material attachments. We should go to the forest and meditate on Vishnu. So the father got very upset. He said, how come this boy is talking about my enemy? Who taught him? Who's teaching him? Who's indoctrinating him? Who's giving him this propaganda in school? So he approached the teachers. He told the teachers to come. How come this boy is speaking like that about our enemies? So what happens after that? The teachers will bring Prahlad to one side. They actually take Prahlad to a side and said, Prahlad, who is teaching you this? Did our enemies come inside the camp and teach you all these things? And Prahlad Maharaj, you know what he said? See here. Shri Prahlad Uvacha Parasvasteti Ashadgraha Pumsham Yanmaya Krita Vimohita Diyam Dhritas Tasme Bhagavate Namaha. Prahlad Maharaj said, let me offer my respectful obeisance onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose external energy has created the distinction of my friend, my enemy, by deluding the intelligence of men. Indeed, I am now actually experiencing this, although I have previously heard from authoritative sources. So Prahlad Maharaj says that, this is illusion, to think this is my friend, this is my enemy. It's all a concoction in the mind. Like if you see geopolitics, they say that there's no friends. Like Russia is not a friend of India, but there are some mutual benefit from each other. So we are, at a time being, we are friends. So everybody has a self-interest. We are self-interest, and I have a friend who can propel my interests. Or even a marriage. I'm talking about material life now, not spiritual life. When we get into a marriage, it's because you are able to gratify my senses, I'm able to gratify your senses. So we come into a contract and satisfy each other. And when we are not able to satisfy each other, there becomes a divorce. You see, so everything, it's all conjunctured in the mind. So right now we do not know what is our real self-interest. That's the problem. Our mind is an enemy. Why is an enemy? Today we read, it's a friend and an enemy. It's an enemy because it takes away from the real self-interest. You see? Example, we'll see this loka. Yesham natushta bhagavan yagya lingo janardana tesham shramohi bhartaya yadatma nadhrita swayam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied, then one's labor for advancement is futile. He is the ultimate self, and therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests. So you see this point, that our real self-interest, Nate vidu swaratta gaptim hi Vishnu durasa hi bhairaktamanina. Our real interest as a spirit soul, as a jiva. So just now we are talking about the senses, the mind, the intelligence, but you are the passenger actually. In the chariot, you are the passenger. You are not the all these things there. So the real self-interest of the soul is to be a servant of Krishna, a devotee of Krishna. That is where you are truly happy. As we know the example, many times we have spoken this. The real self-interest of serving a tree. Now you have a plant. Many people have plants at home, right? Garden, small garden. How do you serve the plants? You serve the plant by watering the root of the tree, right? And then the water will go to the root will distribute the water. But if you try to satisfy the tree by serving each of the leaf one by one, does it help the leaf? Does it help the tree or the plant? No. Right? Or same thing, the example of the food. If you want to serve your self-interest, where do you put the food? You put into your mouth. Your mouth will send it to the stomach will distribute the nutrients. But if you take the same food and you put into your eyes, if you try to put into your ears, or you put into your knee, can anything happen? So this is what's happening. You do not know what is your self-interest. What you are meant to work for, you do not know. You're thinking that by putting the food on my chest, I'm going to get happiness. No. You see? So the mind is a friend if it's helping us to connect with our real self-interest, which is Vishnu. And the mind is an enemy if it detaches us from that self-interest. Like now the passenger is sitting in the chariot, right? We are talking about the example. If the driver listens to the passenger and brings to the correct destination, that is good. And sometimes you're taking Grab or Gojek, right? They will put their GPS and they are going their way. And then you tell them, can you go this way, it's faster. Say, no, I'm going this way. I'm not listening to you. So the mind is not, the body, the senses, is not listening. And then you ended up, I'm telling this because I had an argument a few times. I had to shout at the guy, like, if I am the passenger, I know the way, I'm taking this route for 10 years. Drop your GPS. We know the way better than the GPS. So the same thing, if the passenger who's the intelligent, if the driver who's the intelligent listens to the soul, then only it's possible to control. Then only it's possible to attain the real self-interest of going back to the spiritual world. Coming out of these miseries. This world is full of miseries, right? Birth and death and old age disease. And of course, if you see this verse, Krishna says as well, Matra Sparshas to Kaunteya Sitoshna Shuka Dukkada Agamapayano Nityastam Titikshvasa Bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course of time are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception or Syonam, Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So here you see that there are two things. Sitosna Sukha Dukkada. There is winter and summer, right? So when it's hot, what we do? We tolerate the heat by putting the air conditioner, right? Or when it's very cold, what we do? We put a heater. Somehow, the pains and pleasure of this body can be somehow mitigated. But happiness and distress, you see how? Sukha Dukkha. This happiness and distress, how do we overcome? It's within the mind. We cannot put some air conditioner in the mind, right? You see? So something will make us happy right now. Example, there was a story of Chitraketu, He had no children. He was a great king. He had no child. So he wanted a child because for the next generation to take over the kingdom. So one wife after another wife he married to get a child. Finally he had 10 million wives. Okay, not possible in Kali Yuga. We're talking about a different Yuga where they were so powerful. So 10 million wives, still no child. So he was very in distress, always morose, in distress. One day, one Muni came. What is the Muni name? Forgot the name. So one Muni came, and the Muni said, "Why are you looking so? You are a king. If you are upset, even your citizens will be upset." So those days it's different. When the citizens are happy, the king is also happy. When the citizens are sad, the king is also sad. They work together. The king is very much for the welfare of the people. So the people were also feeling very remorseful that our king is not having a child. So the rishi said, "Don't worry, I will." So what do you want? What benediction you want? And Chitraketu said, "I want a son. I want a child, a son." And then the rishi said, "Yes, you will get a child, but the child will be a cause of happiness and both distress for you." So he thought, oh, okay, now mind. At least I'm happy, right? Some distress will come. Maybe he's a naughty boy. So like that, they did the yagya, and then the oblations came out. He gave the yagya when you do, you get the oblations, right? He gave the oblations to the first wife, and the first wife had a child, and then the child was born, and he was very attached to the child and only that wife. The other wives, all he was not able to satisfy them, and they all got so jealous, and they couldn't control their mind. You see, they couldn't control their mind. They got very angry that why this person is not showing us the same attention as before. And what happened? They murdered the child. Can you see? Imagine how much the mind can, if you let it go, you have no control of your mind, you have no spiritual intelligence, it will go until that point where you're even murdering a child. And then he became so distressful. And then the Rishi came, Narada Muni came, and then the child was brought back alive by the power of Narada. And the child actually gave a spiritual talk to the father, that I am not this, I'm not your son, we are not the mind. And it's there in the Bhagavatam, the conversation, that this happiness and distress these are all in the mind only. It's all concocted in the mind. So here in the story we see that this incident made him happy, his childbirth was happy, but then in the end it became a distress. So like that, we also have so many things like that. Oh, if I get this car, I will be very happy. If I get this phone, or if I get this house, I'll be happy. But actually, honestly, nothing makes us happy other than surrendering to Krishna. Other than being a devotee of Krishna, nothing makes us happy. Everything else is very temporary. You see? So Krishna says what? Krishna says, you control this. This mind has to be brought under control. Like we go back to the Prahlad Maharaj verse as well, that it is very difficult position if you don't control the mind. So Prahlad Maharaj is clearly explaining what's happening in our lives. You see this verse here. All of us are going through this. My dear Lord of Vaikuntha planets, where there is no anxiety, my mind is extremely sinful and lusty, being sometimes so-called happy and sometimes so-called distressed. So that's what we just discussed. Sometimes you are so-called happy, sometimes, but it's all in the mind. How you react to it. Like example, like now, if a cockroach comes inside here, most of the time the ladies are more afraid of the cockroach. I'm also afraid, I'll admit that. So I may react, I may scream and run, right? But maybe you, like, what the hell, this is just a cockroach, why is he reacting? So the reaction is in the mind. How we react to that situation in life. Everybody is going to have problems in life. We are in the material world, we are in the material body. We're going to get so many problems, one after another. But how you react to it, how strong your mind is, that shows how strong your Krishna conscious is. If your Krishna conscious is strong, you will be able to overcome this. If it's very weak, every situation that comes in your life, you will be not able to handle it. See? So anyway, now let's continue. My mind is full of lamentation and fear. So this is the same thing. All of us are lamenting, right? We're always in fear. What's going to happen in the future? Will I get a job? Will I lose my job? Will I have enough money for my retirement? Always we are lamenting, right? Oh, why like this? Why like that? This is called dukkhalayam. It's a place of misery. That's why Vaikuntha is free of this. Vaikuntha means no anxiety, no more anxiety. And we are in a place called Kunta, full of anxiety. See, and it always seeks more and more money. So we think that more money, all problems solved. No, it's not true. There are people with so much money, but they are still not happy. We have seen in their lives. Like you see Muhammad Ali, such a great boxer, such a great, they call him the legend, the greatest of all time. But in the end, when he got the disease, was he happy? No. Once you were the greatest fighter and now you are having you see? So nothing in the material world makes us happy, you must understand this. Thus, it has become most polluted and is never satisfied in topics concerning you. I am therefore most fallen and poor in such a status of life. How shall I be able to discuss your activities? So Prahlad Maharaj is lamenting like that. wanted to show on actually the purport of the next. So this is the situation of the mind, that how we are. So can you understand how important this Krishna conscious movement is? Because now we have presented so much of problems, right? But where is the movement or knowledge or institution in the world which helps you to overcome this problem? It's here. You see, only by coming to the spiritual process, reconnecting to Krishna, we are able to control that chariot which is running wild. Huh? So we see another verse. So it says here that this uncontrolled mind, this is spoken by, is it Bharat Maharaj? 511? No, Bharat. Jada Bharat. I think it's, Jada Bharat. Jada Bharata, you know who is Jada Bharata? Also very interesting story. Jada Bharata was Maharaj Bharat in his previous life. So Maharaj Bharat, India is called Bharat, right? India is named after him, King Bharat. So this king was a great devotee of the Lord, such a great king. His father is Rishabdev. Rishabdev is actually Krishna, incarnation of Krishna himself. And Rishabdev had 100 sons, and one of the sons was Bharat. And Bharat was such a great king that the entire world is called Bharat. Now we are only calling India as Bharat, but those days, the entire world is Bharat. One civilization, So this Bharat, he was such a great king and such a great devotee. At 24 years old, he renounced his kingdom. He renounced it and he went to the forest to meditate on Vishnu. But what happened in the forest? So while he was so renounced, you just think about it. You are a king of the world. You have the entire world under your control, but you are so detached from it. How much his mind is strong, and he's not attached to all these material things. So he went to the forest. He meditated, and then one day what happened? He saw a mother deer, being chased by a tiger, and then the deer was specially pregnant. And while the deer was running in fear, the child came out, the baby deer. And so Bharat saw all this, and he was very concerned that because he's a king, he has a natural affection for the people, right? He has natural affection to protect the people, the praja. So while he saw the deer, the baby deer was born, right? He decided to take the deer as under his care. And then as day went on, he was getting very attached to the deer. Instead of doing his meditation and his sadhana, he was more concerned about the deer. So deer will go out in the forest. He will be thinking, oh, where is the deer? Any tiger maybe any wild animals attack the deer, So he's very much meditating on the deer. His mind was slipping away, slowly and slowly and slowly. And one day the deer did not come back at night time. So he was thinking, where is this deer? And he was very scared. He was in fear, like, oh my God, my deer is gone. He was so attached to the deer. He was chasing after he was running here, running there in the forest in the night, and then he fell down, from a position, and he died. And he died, you see. And at the time of death, he was thinking of the deer while he died. So the mind, which was meant to surrender to Krishna in the forest, meditated on the deer, and next life he took birth as a deer. You understand how it works now? When we are not able to control this mind, it will bring us to another life, another suffering. So now as a deer, he was able to remember. He could remember that in my previous life, I was a king, and then I fell down. This life, I will not make the same mistake again. I'm going to really. So he did not even associate with all his dear friends. He was alone. He was eating dry grass. He waited for the time of death to come. And this time he died. He took birth as a Brahmana family, as a boy, Brahmana boy. And even in that family, even though he was a Brahmana, he acted like a dumb fool. He said, if I'm an intelligent boy, then they will get me married, then I'll get into family life and all these things will happen. So he was very intelligent. He was understanding Krishna, everything. But he acted like a retarded. And the father tried to help him so much. Nothing happened, And so like that the story goes on that he was a dumb guy, but one day he is giving advice to a king. The king scolded him, You should read the story. And then the king, he's giving an advice. You see in this verse here, this uncontrolled mind is the greatest of enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. So when we give more chance to the mind, it becomes more and more powerful. It is, even though it's not factual, the mind is not real, but it is so powerful. See? That is how he's an enemy. If you let him go towards away from Krishna, remembrance of Krishna, it will become your greatest enemy. See, although it is not factual, it is very strong. See, it covers the constitutional position of the soul. O king, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and the supreme personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. So, the advice is here, the solution is here, that even though it's so powerful, you can control it by superior intelligence, superior knowledge. How to do that? You have to connect to the spiritual master. That's why the guru is important. Of course, we have the greatest guru, Acharya, the history of the world has ever seen, Srila Prabhupada. And he did so much for us. He written so many books for us. We take his shelter. We read his books. We chant the holy name of Krishna. We are able to control that mind. So there are ways to control this mind. So when we say, like now when you come to the Krishna conscious movement, we say don't eat meat, don't have intoxication, don't have illicit sex, gambling. When we say don't do all this, it's helping your mind to control. Because if you let your mind do all these things, you'll go out of control very easily into sinful activities. And when it goes into sinful activities, you get one misery after another misery after another misery. So you just cannot say, I'm controlling my mind. My mind is controlled. No, you must avoid. There are do's and don'ts. You avoid things which are not helping you to remember Krishna. And you do things which helps you to remember Krishna. That's why we see this verse here. Smartavya satatam Vishnur vismartavya na jajutir sarvavidhi nishedhasyor etayor eva kinkaraha. Lord Vishnu, Krishna, the origin of Vishnu, should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibition mentioned in the Shastra should be the servants of these true principles. So this is the basic principle, that he should be remembered and never forgotten at any time. So that's why devotees, we mold our life, we prioritize our life in a way that we have the most remembrance of Krishna. So that's why, like I said, mainly we don't eat meat. Because if you eat meat, you will lose the quality of being compassionate. Right? Like Prabhu was giving very nice example that now if I say I love chicken, it's not that I love the chicken. I love you because you are able to satisfy my tongue. So you die for my tongue. How much evil is that? How much cruel is that? You think about it. To kill someone just for our tongue. Right? Example. So that's why if we do this, we have no more compassion in our hearts. We cannot remember Krishna. So we don't eat meat. We don't take, intoxication like alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, even coffee, tea you don't take. Why? Because when you take all these things, your austerity is finished. Without austerity, without doing tapasya, we cannot come to Krishna. We cannot remember Krishna. You see, like now, this is austerity, right? Now you are coming all the way from your house, traveling here, sitting down, hearing this. So Krishna sees, this person is putting an effort. He's putting austerity to know me. He's putting austerity to chant. He's putting austerity to read my books. I will help him control the mind. I will help him remember me. You see? So when we do all this intoxication, we cannot remember Krishna. And then if you have illicit sex life out of marriage, then there is no more cleanliness. If you're not clean, if your heart is not clean, then how Krishna will come in your heart? Right? And finally, gambling. When you do gambling, there is no more truthfulness. Somebody who is a gambler, he cannot be truthful. You definitely have to tell lies every time. So when you're telling lies, how will Krishna come to you? So if you want to come out of this You want to control your mind, you have to avoid these things. And you have to chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare. So you do this. You don't do this. You see, you do's and don't. You do like that. And you will progress. And you will realize that whenever the mind, even when you're advancing, your mind will go here, you realize, oh, I shouldn't do this. Intelligence will tell you. When your intelligence is sharpened in the mind, the intelligence will tell you, better don't click this. Don't see this link. If you see this link, you will end up seeing so many other things. You know. So you will be aware as you progress. You will become more and more aware. More and more you will be able to control that mind. And when you have able to control that mind, so when we say Hare Krishna mantra, mantra means what? Is made of two words, mana and trayate. Mana is mind. Trayate means to free that mind, to release that mind. You see? So when you chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it helps you to free that mind from all these contaminations, from all these inebrities and we are controlled, right, by the senses and by lust, anger and greed. The 6 bad qualities, right? You see? Let's see this sloka. Trividam narakeshtam dvaram nasanamaatmana kamakrodastata lobhasttasmadetattrayam tvaje. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger and greed. Every sane man should give this up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. So these 3 things, of course there's 3 more, the 6 enemies. They are all sitting in the mind, the heart. They are within us. Like you see Ravana, he couldn't control his lust, his anger, his greed. And what happened to him in the end? He went up to a point where he even kidnapped Mother Sita, and then he was destroyed, right? So we do not want to go in the path of Ravana. We want to come to the path of Hanuman. See, Hanuman, a very nice example, Tati Prabhu gave in one of the TikTok videos, that Hanuman, he was finding Sita, right? So he went he jumped from, what do you call that, Dhanushkoti, right, that place, the end of India. From there, he jumped all the way to Sri Lanka. And in Sri Lanka, the women and the people there, of course, they are Rakshasas, demons, but they are so beautiful. Doesn't mean the demons are not handsome, They are very beautiful also. The consciousness, they are not devotee of Krishna, that's all. They are against Krishna, that's why they are demons. So the women were so beautiful, and Hanuman, as a brahmachari, his job was to find who is Sita. So he had to do like a search, a women search like that. Through his eyes, he has to see this girl, that girl, and he's a brahmachari, right? So let's say the first lady our eyes fall on, we may say love at first sight and go, and then get married, and then we'll forget our mission. Hanuman was not like that. He was looking, he was seeing this girl, no, not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one, not. Finally he saw Sita. So his mind was so controlled, he was not distracted by any of the feminine beauty there. Not affected one bit, because mind was fixed on the Lord. When your mind is attracted to the beauty of the Lord, then all these things very easy to control. Now I'm telling you, don't eat meat. You feel like, how to so difficult, how to not do all this. Very easy. You must be attracted to Krishna. See, so now in the example here, Hanuman, he was not attracted to the ladies there. He went there, he saw Sita, he gave the ring, he burned Lanka, he came back. He did his surgical strike. So you see, the attraction is what is important. When you make your mind being attracted to the Lord, you will automatically be able to give up all these all these difficulties. All this meat eating, intoxication, gambling. I'm sure many of us are still doing that, but at least now you're hearing all these things. You got to pray to Krishna. Krishna, please let my mind be attracted to you. Krishna tvadiya padapankaja panjarantam adre bhavishatu me manasa raja hamsa prana prayana sameka pavat pittau kanta varodana vido smaranam kutaste. So King Kulashekar is saying that my mind, King Kulashekar is a great acharya, Alvar, he's an Alvar. So he says, Krishna, just like the swan, the swan, when you see in the river, is the pond, he likes to go into the water. The lotus is, lotus is there. he'll go and play with the lotus roots. He'll tangle himself in the lotus. So King Kulashekar says, let my mind be entangled in the lotus feet of your lotus feet, Krishna. You know, let my mind be in remembrance of your lotus feet all the time. And Kapavata Pitta, when the time of death comes, it's very hard to remember you, because when you're going to die, right, all your phlegms, your bile, your mucus, everything is jamming your body. You cannot remember. So King Kulashekar said, let me die now. Take away my life. Because now I'm healthy, I can remember you. When I'm going to die, how can I remember your name? See, so the devotee is not even afraid of dying. He is only afraid that he cannot remember Krishna at the time of death. So that is the attraction we have to develop for Krishna. Param dristva nivartate. When we get that higher taste, the higher attraction, like sometime, like yesterday one person was asking me, he said, Prabhu, how come you all, like what you all doing, just sitting in the temple, doing some service, what's so fun and happy about this? You know, you're not eating meat, you're not going clubbing, you're not drinking, what's so happy about all these things? So I told him that if we are not doing that and we are doing this, definitely there is more happiness here, right? I'm also seeking happiness, you also seeking happiness. But if I'm not attracted for those things, that means this thing is a higher happiness than what you're enjoying. So if you want to unlock that, you got to put that effort. Now we have heard, now you have some knowledge, but that effort you have to put to unlock that happiness, to unlock that door. You have to do it. You have to start chanting. This is the key. I'm giving you the key, but you have to turn it. Prabhupada has given us the key, you know. So you have to start chanting. You have to start getting attracted to Krishna. You have to keep hearing his pastimes and glories. By hearing, we'll see this sloka. Shrinmata Shraddhaya Nityam Grinnata Chasvache Sthitam Khalena Tidhirgena Bhagatvan Vishato Hridi. So he says here that Shrinmata Shraddhaya Nityam, persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, I mean it's not only today, every day you have to hear. Every day you have to keep hearing the pastimes of the Lord. Taking the matter very seriously, you have to be serious about this, following the principles and all. Will have the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, manifested in your hearts within a short time. Khalena ati dhirgena. Khalena ati dhirgena means very short time. Very quickly, Krishna will manifest himself in your heart. And if Krishna manifests in your heart, you are able to control the mind so easily. And you're not attracted to this material world. And then you won't be taking this repeated birth and death. You understand? But if you want to go the other way, then what to do? You have to go through all the sufferings of repeated birth and death. So now the point we are coming is the attraction has to be developed for the Lord. Like I have told this story last week as well, but I'll repeat the same story because it's very suitable for this. So there was in Ramanujacharya time, there was a man. Ramanujacharya appeared 1000 years ago in Sri Rangam, Tamil Nadu. So Ramanujacharya, so in that area, there was a very, very muscular man, very big size muscular man. He was very much attached to his wife. So what he used to do that when the wife is going out walking with him, he will hold the umbrella. But he holds the umbrella, like now when we hold the umbrella, the person is beside us, right? But here he holds the umbrella looking at her. So he's walking backwards, like that. He's walking like that, the wife is in front walking, he's walking backwards. So he was so much attracted to her eyes. And everybody used to make fun of him, like, what this man, he's so so attached to his wife. Even he's holding the umbrella like that, looking at her and walking. He doesn't know what is behind him also. So one day, Ramanujacharya saw this and he said, what this man is doing? And then they told him, this guy is crazy guy, he's very attracted to the wife and so much entangled in family life. Then Ramanujacharya, being merciful, said, you come, I want to talk to him. So they went and talked to the man. He said, what you are doing? And then the man explained that my wife's eyes are so beautiful that I cannot take my eyes off her. So I don't care anybody curses me or anybody, I'm not embarrassed, because I'm in love. So Ramanujacharya said, but what if I show you something more beautiful than your wife's eyes? Then he said, okay, if you show me that who is more beautiful, I will surrender to them. I will surrender to that person. Then the Ramanujacharya said, come, you come to the temple. Then they went to the Perumal temple, Vadadaraj Perumal. And the Ramanuja, because he is a pure devotee, he prayed to the Lord, my Lord, you please open your eyes. Yeah? Your Arvindaksha, you open your lotus eyes and show him. And then the Lord opened his eyes, and this man saw the beauty of Vishnu's eyes, Narayana eyes, and he immediately surrendered. He said, there is nothing greater than this. There is no other higher, there's nothing higher than this, to see the Lord. You know. So this is the thing about Krishna, you see. When you maybe see many stories in the Bhagavatam as well. When the devotee met the Lord, we may have a long list. I want to ask Krishna this. But when Krishna shows you his darshan, all your desire is satisfied. This is the power of Krishna. He is able to fulfill and satisfy every desire you have in your heart. And you have nothing else to ask. So like that, the man he surrendered. Immediately he surrendered. He said, and from that day onwards, he surrendered to his spiritual master, the Guru. He controlled his mind. He became a great devotee of the Lord. And you know what happened after that? He became such a great devotee that even the brahmacharis could not tolerate him. You know. So what happened was, he became such a great devotee, and he was always with Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya was a sannyasi. So he was always serving Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya was always giving him instructions to him and his wife. And then the brahmacharis, they got some jealousy. They got a bit envious. Like, why the Acharya is giving so much association to this man? We are the renounced people. We have nothing. We have no money, nothing. So Ramanujacharya understood that these disciples are jealous of him. So he said, he wanted to show them how great he is. So you know what he said? He told all the brahmacharis, you come. I'll tell you, tonight, you go to the man's house. You go to his house, his wife will be sleeping. You steal the gold. Because the women, they used to wear gold, right? Gold chain, necklace, earrings. So you go and steal all this from them. And then after that, you see what they are talking to each other. So the brahmacharis thought, okay, let's do this. Let's teach them a lesson. Acharya is teaching him a lesson. They went in, the wife was sleeping on the side like this. So they managed to take out this side of the body, all the necklace and earrings. And then they wanted to take the other side. She turned around. She turned her body around. They got afraid, they left. They quickly ran away. And then they wait outside the house to see what's the conversation happening between husband and wife. So husband comes and he sees the wife that half of the jewelry is missing. He asks the wife, what's happening? Why this side is gold, this side there is no gold, what happened? Then she said that the brahmacharis came, they were stealing from me. So I thought, let me turn on the other side, so they can steal the other side also. Because it's our duty to serve the Vaishnava, you know. Why? Maybe they don't ask donation, but they are too embarrassed to ask so much donation, so they're coming to steal. So we should give. We shouldn't. So the husband scolded, why you turn so fast? You must turn slowly, you know. Then they can nicely take. You turn so fast, they are scared. Now they only took half, you know. What is this? Then the disciples, they saw this. And then they understood this guy, even though he's a grihastha, he's a family man, he's so great. And then they understood. So you see how the story flows. He was attracted to his wife materially, and then he got attracted to the Lord, and then he got guidance of the Guru, and he conquered his mind, and he became such a great devotee that he was even able to renounce everything. Whatever, you know, he was not interested. So this is how we should, chart out our life. See another verse here. 11, 9, 12. The mind can be controlled when it's fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you have to fix your mind on the Lord. And in this age, it is so difficult to fix. The easiest method that is given now in this Kali Yuga is the Hare Krishna mantra. Please chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like that, you keep chanting. The more you chant, at least we have to chant minimum 16 rounds. So if you're not there yet, you must push yourself. You must put that effort. Because it's for your own self-benefit only. We are telling you not for ours. We don't gain anything. You are saving your soul. You are saving your soul from this material world. You're getting true happiness, real happiness you're getting by doing this. Right? So you see, the mind must fix on the Supreme Lord. Having achieved a stable situation, the mind becomes free from polluted desires to execute material activities. Okay. Thus, the mode of goodness increases in strength. One can completely give up the modes of passion and ignorance, and gradually one transcends even the mode of goodness. When the mind is freed from the fuel of mode of nature, the fire of material existence is extinguished. Then one achieves the transcendental platform of direct relationship with the object of his meditation, the Supreme Lord. So like that, we are all controlled by these three gunas, Sattva guna, Rajo guna, Tamo guna. First we have to come out of the ignorance and passion. So when we are talking about the sinful activities, right? Immediate intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, these are all brings us to the passion and ignorance, Rajo guna, Tamo guna. If you are in Rajo guna and Tamo guna, you can never feel happiness at all. Always will be stress. So at least you must come to the Sattva guna. You must come to Sattva guna. Then only you will start feeling happiness. And eventually by doing more and more and more, you come to the pure goodness, Suddha Sattva. This is the goal of Krishna consciousness. See? So please, we encourage everyone, please, don't waste this human birth. Take it up, seriously. There is another story where we see that there's a Brahmana. This is a story happened, spoken by Lord Krishna. This is the final story when we'll close the class. So Lord Krishna is speaking to Uddhava. Uddhava is the relative cousin of Krishna. So there's something called the Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavad Gita is Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. Uddhava Gita, Krishna is speaking to Uddhava. So in that Uddhava Gita, Krishna is speaking a story of a Brahmana called the Avanti Brahmana. You see? So this Avanti Brahmana, he was a businessman, he's a Brahmana, but he does commerce. So he has a lot of money. But he was very miserable, very miser. He will not give money easily. In fact, he will even starve himself sometimes to save the money, even though he got so much money. That's what we call Kripana. There's a Brahmana, Kripana. Very miserly. His relatives, his family members were not happy about him. Very, very greedy, very stingy guy. So like that he was living his life. And he did not do any sacrifice also. He did not worship the Lord. He did not do anything. No puja, nothing. No charity. So like that, slowly his punya was going down and down and down. And then he started to lose his money. And first, the government, they took a lot of money from him. The thieves also took a lot of money from him. Relatives also took a lot of money from him. And by providence means fate. Somehow he lost all his money. Even though he had so much money, he lost everything. And then he was a beggar. He became a beggar. And everybody rejected him after that. This is normal. Many people are friends with us because of the wealth we have. But once you lose your wealth, everybody leaves you. Nobody comes and sees you again. Family members leave you. So this is what happened to him. Friends also left him. Anyway, they don't like him also because he's a bad character guy. So they just say, get lost. Don't want you. But somehow, he had some intelligence that he had understanding that Krishna is purposefully doing this to help me surrender unto him. Because I was so attached to this money and greed and wealth, I have forgotten Krishna. And now Krishna has taken everything away from me. This is a good time to renounce and take sannyas. You see? So like that he renounced, he understood his position. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan. So you see, so what was I? He gave up, he understood. See, now let's say this same thing happens to us, right? How most of us, how we will react to this? We will be very distressed. Oh, everything gone, Krishna taken. Why God, why you did this to me? We will blame the Lord. But he is not like that. He understood this is a blessing of Krishna. So if you are able to see even difficult situation in life as blessings of Krishna, then you are actually very much progressed. And that can only happen if you read. If you keep hearing and reading, then you can understand. If something bad happened to me, Krishna is giving me this test to help me surrender to him faster. there's an example like in the third canto. There's a the baby is in the womb. There's explanation of how the baby is born in the womb, and this baby is, how much painful the inside the womb. It's so much squeeze, right? So much squeezed, If you are put into the same situation, 9 seconds you will die. They say that. So this baby is so much in pain and suffering in the womb, and then he remembers Krishna. He remembers the Lord and he prays to the Lord, please save me. I don't want to take another birth and go through this again and again and again. And then the Lord says, he's praying to the Lord, And you know what he prays in the end? He said, please don't let me born also. Because if I born, I will forget you. I rather be in the painful situation of the womb and remember you than come and born in this world and forget you. You see that? So this is a devotee. A devotee, even in painful situation or distress, they are praying to the Lord, thank you. Now I can pray to you and now I can surrender to you more. Before this I'm thinking, I have this bank balance, I have this insurance, I have that family, this. But when everything is not there, you only have one person, Krishna only. So you are able to surrender to Krishna. So you must take distress as in this way. When in distress, you have to think like that. And if you think like that, Krishna will easily, very fast, he will liberate you. So this kind of thinking will come when you become more serious, when you read more and more. Okay. So now this Brahmana, he detached, he came out of it and he took sannyas. He surrendered. He took sannyas, and he started to go. He started to. I'll show you the verses where he's speaking. So this is one of the first few verses. He's saying that whatever pure fame is possessed by the famous, whatever praiseworthy qualities are found in the virtuous, are destroyed by even a small amount of greed, just as one attractive physical beauty is ruined by the trace of white leprosy. So he understood that because of greed, everything is destroyed. He was very greedy, right? And then he understood that how much. See, there's another famous verse he spoke that. Another thing he's saying here that even a man's brothers, wife, parents, friends, united with him in love, will immediately break off their affection relationship and become enemies over the single coin. Then what he says next? So he's saying that don't waste this human life. Those who obtain human life, which is prayed for even by the demigods. So even devatas want to become a human. Because human life is so easy, you can chant Hare Krishna and go back. No. And in that human birth becomes situated in first class Brahmana are extremely fortunate. If they disregard this important opportunity, they are certainly killing their own self-interest. So we're talking about this right today, self-interest. And thus achieve the most unfortunate end. So he's saying that we should not waste this human life. It's so rare, so much rare. 8.4 million species of life. We are coming through so many. We are born as a lizard, as a crocodile, as a cockroach. Now we have human life. We should not waste this. We should take this Krishna consciousness and come out of this material world. So he says, don't waste the human life. Then after that he says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, who contains himself within himself, all demigods must be satisfied with me. Indeed, he has brought me to this suffering condition and forced me to experience detachment, which is the boat to carry me over the ocean of material life. So that's why he understands. When we have suffering in our life, we should understand like that. We should pray like that. Krishna, thank you for helping me. Remember you. I have been in illusion all this while. Thank you for helping me. See the boat here. This detachment is a boat to carry me over the ocean of material life. So you have to see it that way. Then you will come out of this. Then your mind will be, because your mind will say, oh no, you are in so much of stress, But if you think this way, your mind will be controlled very fast. So can be controlled like that because when you chant, when you follow the rules and regulations, you read, you come and associate with devotees, you reveal your mind to the devotees, devotees will be able to help you control that mind as well. So like that, he actually, we'll see another one. He surrendered to the Lord, and he said this another sloka. So he says here, thus may the presiding demigods of the three worlds kindly show their mercy upon me. Indeed, Maharaj Katvanga was able to achieve the spiritual world in a single moment. So who is this Katvanga? So Katvanga Maharaj was a great king. He was fighting for the Devatas. Devatas were fighting with the demons, Asuras. So he went and fight with them. For thousands and thousands of years he was fighting. And at the end of the war, the Devatas asked him, what benedictions you want? We want to give you a blessings. What do you want to know? So he said, I want to know when I will die. He never asked anything, give me money, car, nothing, yes. Because everything will die, right? In the end, everything you're going to die. What's the point asking something material? Example, now you are in the East Coast beach, you're drowning in the water. I'm coming in the helicopter. And then I ask you, what do you want? What you will tell me? What you will ask me? Tell me. Give me an answer. You're drowning, I'm coming in a helicopter. I ask you, what do you want? What do you will ask me? Save me, right? Please save me. You will ask me for PlayStation. You will ask me for some Nissan GTR. I'll give you the Nissan GTR. You'll sing lower. So this is the problem we are facing now. When we worship God, when we worship Krishna, or we are asking, give me this, give me that. What's the point? You are drowning. What's the point getting this? Will drown you more. So the most logical thing is, so he asked this question to the Devatas. When the Devatas asked him, what do you want? He said, I want to know when I will die. And then know what they said? You're going to die in another 48 minutes, one muhurta. 48 minutes, you are dead. Immediately he left everything, he came to earth, he meditated on the Lord, he chanted the holy name, Hare Krishna mantra, and he liberated himself within 48 minutes. So you see how powerful it is that if you are sincere, even 48 minutes you can go back. But we are not that sincere. So that's why we cannot say that, the last 48 minutes of my life I will remember Krishna. We cannot. If your whole life, your mind is remembering so many nonsense and doing so many things, how you will remember the time of death? So that's why every day, Shinvata Shraddhaya Nityam, every day you have to do this. Every day you have to beat the mind. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, you take the shoe and beat your head. Of course, not physically. In your mind you beat. You say, don't be distracted. Don't go away. So like that, Avanti Brahmana, he's praying that Maharaj Katvanga did it. And finally, this is the verse I wanted to show, that he is speaking about the mind. He says here that the Brahmana said, these people, okay, so anyway, what happens? He becomes a sannyasi, before we go to this verse. And many people actually disturb him, They have no respect for him. They will come and fart on him also. They will urine on him. They will beat him. They will tie him up. They will accuse him of being a thief. They will take all his things. The sannyasi has a sannyas staff, kamandalu, They will take away. And then they will give back. Then they will take away again. So they were all tormenting him. But his mind was so controlled. He said, I don't care. Of course, we are not in that position. We are not going to react like that also. But just see how much detached he has become to the material things that are happening around him. So now you know what happened? All these people are causing him so much distress, and he says this, that these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress. He did not depend on them for his happiness or distress. Neither the demigods, my own body, the planets, my past work or time. Rather, it is the mind alone that causes happiness and distress, perpetuates the rotation of material life. You see that? The mind is the one. So he understood that everything is inside here. I don't care. He just carry on, he surrendered to the Lord, and of course, in the end, he went back to the spiritual world. And if you see this sloka, that this is a sloka that when people take sannyas, they chant this sloka actually. Etam sa ashtaya pramatanishtam adhyashitam purvate me maharishbir aham tarishyami duranta param tamo mukundangri nishevayava. I shall cross the insurmountable ocean of the signs by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when people take sannyas, they actually recite this mantra, which was chanted by the Avanti Brahmana. He said, I am going to just surrender and and cross this ocean of the signs. By firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. So yeah, so this is the story today. I mean, this is the class today about the mind. I hope I covered most of the points, and I hope I am able to at least encourage you all to please take up this process seriously. Please buy the beads, start chanting seriously every day, and pray in the heart, Krishna, I'm not able to give up, but please help me. No, don't think that, oh, I cannot give up. No, just pray. Krishna, you are sincere. Krishna only wants your sincerity. Sincerely, you tell him, Krishna, I want to be more closer to you. I want to come out of this. I want to control my mind. I don't want to go and end up doing these sinful activities and controlled by lust, anger, and greed. I don't want to suffer again and again. Please help me. You pray like that, and you chant. You chant the holy name. You think like that, and then you will definitely come out of this. This Prabhupada's mercy, with Prabhupada's promise, he will help us to come out of this. So, okay, we will stop here. Any questions, points, comments? Yes.
Can I read the verse?
Yeah.
It's concerning our human being.
What was it?
बड़े भाग्य से मनुष्य तन पाओ.
Okay.
सुख दुर्लभ सब ग्रंथ बनावा. साधन धाम मोक्ष के द्वारा. आए न परलोक सवार. In English, a jiva gets a human body only through right good fortune.
Can you tell me the words I can put on the screen?
बड़े भाग्य से.
No, is that number? Is there a verse number? You don't know, because I don't know what. Okay, never mind. You just read. The jiva, what?
The jiva gets the human body only through breath good fortune. Even the Devtas pray to Bhagwan for the chance to be born as a human. A human body is perfectly created for meditation, which is a gateway to moksha, eternal freedom.
Yeah. So this is the point, that we have to use this human body in the right way, not let the mind control us and go the wrong way. Okay. So anyway, now we'll end the class. We'll have a last arati followed by prasadam and some announcement that you can see the board there. We have festivals coming up in August. Sri Krishna Janmashtami, 19th of August. We have Balaram Jayanti. We have Prabhupada Vyasa Puja. We have Julan Yatra. So, why we have all these festivals? To help our mind be attracted to Krishna. The purpose, not just like we tell you the information and then you just sit down and just meditate blankly. No, that's not going to help. You will be attracted to the personality of Krishna. So please, you come and, like you see now we have Julan Yatra, you're going to come and pull the swing. So we are trying to develop a relationship with Krishna. And when you do that, very easily you will conquer the mind. So please take note of all those festivals, and if you're not, or if you don't have, you're not getting you're not receiving messages from the temple, you can look for me. We are sending daily messages, festival updates, all this will be there as well. So now we will stop now, and we have a So we will stop here. We'll have Arati and Prasadam, I think in the 5th floor, right? Yeah, 5th floor. Jai Granthra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Gaur.